It takes a certain kind of lack of self-respect, I think, to tell such grandiose lies, such as the idea that Taylor Swift endorsed you running for president just because you posted a picture. When something is so easily disproven,
I accept.
Yeah, like... the idea that Donald Trump thought this was a good idea, that he's so worried about approval because that's all he knows. He doesn't have self-respect.
Yeah.
He needs that kind of validation from the highest levels of people complimenting him, and when he can't get it, he has to make it up and pretend, and hope, and because, well, that impression will get other people to respect, and that's still something, you know, and none of this is fulfilling for him, and that's why he's always miserable, and that's why he's always taking it out on others. But I think it shows just how far gone he is, and it's not just, I know weird was a fun thing to say, but it's deeply psychopathic, you know.
I mean, there's something so fascinating and about the notion that a person that can lie big, it's somehow, the bigger, the more grandiose the lie, the more you can kind of trick people into being like, well, I mean, but he's not, I mean, he wouldn't have just made that up though, right? I mean, like, he wouldn't have just put a picture that somebody else, that doesn't make, and then he just sort of like, it requires people, and this is obviously, we talked about this in the first episode, the requirement for people to constantly sort of like shift their reality to align with Donald Trump's, where that makes sense. That's something that, you know, like, oh, well, he didn't mean that we'll never have to vote again. He didn't mean exactly, like, all of the shifting and the realignment for things to make sense. But when it comes to stuff like that, where you're just like, well, I mean, what is the plan there? To assume that she won't say, I didn't endorse him, I didn't even pose as Uncle Sam. That's, you know, like, I mean, I don't know what the game plan was for that. And once again, it's not even like he can hide behind the, like, well, I retweeted it, you know, like, I mean, right? That's like, he tweeted that picture.
Yeah, he posted that. And even to say like, oh, I was confused.
Right.
Like, how does that help? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I saw it online. It must be true. Like, how is a gullible candidate for president?
He's
like,
supposed to be the candidate for president. He's acting like the ant that doesn't know that, like, deep fakes are a thing and that AI can create, you know, and that somebody obviously made that. I just, the mentality behind that is so childish, obviously, you know?
Yeah. And you're not going to feel like the validation from posting some bold-faced lie. Like, obviously, people would have told him right, like, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift endorsed you. What a surprise. You know, she said terrible things about you in interviews and in posts, and she made cookies for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris last election.
Full-throatedly endorsed them in the last one,
Yeah. So the idea that, you know, he's like, well, I'll just say it. You know, like, that's showing that he's really, you know, breaking from reality because he can't really accept reality.
Yeah.
And